I love Mega Man. Ever since I started playing these games, I've had so much fun playing them for the first time and re-experiencing them through replays. There's just something about the challenge they offer that's so special and rewarding, a design philosophy that gives the game so much appeal and draw. But the effectiveness of this design comes with a major drawback. Mega Man games uses science so delicate and precise that one wrong move, one mistake, is enough to put the quality of an entire game in jeopardy. Enough to soil the experience of playing one of the most legendary games of all time. This is how one stage completely ruins Mega Man 2. Whenever discussions surrounding Mega Man pop up, it seems inevitable that the conversation will eventually lead into debating what the best Mega Man game is. And for a long time, this debate had a pretty simple and almost universally accepted answer: Mega Man 2. Be it for its iconic bosses, its superior music, or just being Mega Man 2, there's a lot of reasons which are often cited for Mega Man 2's superiority. But after seeing 2 be so ubiquitously and universally accepted as the singular face of the Mega Man series, the game has caused a bit of fatigue. Nowadays, it's easy to look back on Mega Man 2 and call it overrated or overrepresented, but I personally think there's still a lot to appreciate about this game from a more objective standpoint. Mega Man as a series is known for following particular conventions, and many of these conventions were primarily established in Mega Man 2. While Mega Man 1 created a basic groundwork for the franchise, Mega Man 2 solidified a very familiar yet effective formula, and it proved to be so effective that it can even be seen implemented in games outside of the Mega Man franchise. I want to first establish what defines the formula of Mega Man and how it drives the appeal and allure of the series as a whole, and then talk about where Mega Man 2 fails to implement this formula, and how it, in my words, ruins the game. So to begin with, I'll be talking about Mega Man in a series-wide context, discussing the 3 major design principles that make the game so effective, starting with freedom of approach. A core element of Mega Man that's a constant throughout the entire series is this sort of non-linear progression. The ability to choose your next stage, usually from a pool of 8, gives the Mega Man games a freedom of approach, and the main element that impacts this freedom of approach is the 8-stage bosses, specifically their weapons and weaknesses. Each Robot Master is weak to at least one other special weapon, which are each acquired through defeating a Robot Master, which usually results in a cyclical weakness chain. This impacts the design of the stages through requiring a consistent difficulty, as the freedom of approach eliminates the opportunity for an intended difficulty curve. But levels can still take advantage of the varying level order through optional paths and bonuses. Flashman's stage in Mega Man 2 features these destructible walls, which can only be broken by the weapon received in Crashman's stage, Crash Bomb. Breaking these walls isn't required, but it gives some nice bonuses, and it has the additional effect of subtly hinting at Flashman's soft weakness to the Crash Bomb. For an initial playthrough, the freedom of approach enables the player to experiment with each boss's weakness, and eventually discovering the intended boss order is rewarding. Alternatively, on later playthroughs you can take advantage of this knowledge to perform a cleaner run, which provides its own form of satisfaction. But because none of the 8 Robot Masters require a special weapon to be defeated, you're also given the opportunity to learn and master the boss fights with the default Mega Buster, which offers a high skill ceiling and yet another unique form of accomplishment. It's these layers of experimentation, knowledge, and mastery which gives Mega Man games such a unique draw and potential for multiple playthroughs, which is supported by their relatively short length. But this free, non-linear structure for the first 8 stages is eventually bottlenecked by the finale, the Wily stages, which are generally a series of levels back-to-back with no freedom of choice. These stages are effective in their contrast to the rest of the game. It bookends the adventure with a consistent and grounded series of levels that are able to effectively progress difficulty and tension without needing to consider varying stage order. These stages are also able to properly challenge your use of the special weapons, as reaching this point in the game means that you've already acquired every weapon. For example, Wily Stage 1 requires heavy usage of the 3 mobility items to climb up the sides of the castle, which gives the stage a unique appearance and layout that earlier stages couldn't realistically achieve. And so it's with this structure that Mega Man is able to offer difficulty through both a linear and non-linear progression system, and the freedom offered by the initial 8 stages contributes greatly to the series' approachability and appeal. But outside of this structural design philosophy, there are 2 additional supporting design principles that define Mega Man further, one of which being its unique form of difficulty. Something that you'll inevitably encounter whenever you play a Mega Man game is death. It happens constantly. Whether you're running out of health, falling down a pit, touching spikes, there's no shortage of hazards in these games. On top of that, Mega Man himself controls in a way that's very rigid and heavy, but simultaneously a bit slippery, which can make platforming very intimidating. Mega Man is therefore a very fragile character. The game very much expects for you to die constantly throughout an average playthrough, but what balances this fragility somewhat is the game's progression system. Unlike a lot of games at the time, a game over in Mega Man does not result in starting the game from the beginning. Instead, every stage you've beaten remains beaten, and you lose your progress in whatever level you were currently attempting. This progression system provides a form of stability to balance Mega Man's fragility, but maintains tension through the risk of losing your progress in the current stage. In this sense, fragility is not necessarily difficulty, rather it's a specific type of weakness that often affects or defines difficulty. Consider how the concept of fragility might apply in other games. In games like Getting Over It, your progress is incredibly fragile. One mistake could send you back hours, but there aren't any hazards in the traditional sense. Your character is indestructible. Whereas in a game like Celeste, it's only you, the character, who is fragile. The screen-based checkpoint system means that you never lose significant progress in death. Mega Man, then, is a sort of balance between these extremes. Your character is quite susceptible to death, but you're never at risk of losing significant progress. At the same time, the game's life system and health bar means that Mega Man isn't a one-hit kill, and you're still capable of losing progress in a level if you end up getting a game over. In short, both Mega Man and the stage progression system inherit a sort of fragility, but both balance a sort of sturdiness. And this balance is incredibly foundational to the design of Mega Man games. It's this stage progression system that encourages and enables the player's freedom of choice. By taking away progress in the current stage, it opens the door to attempt another. If stage progression was made too sturdy through, say, removing the game over system, the player would have much less reason to leave a difficult level and come back to it later. They'd more likely be encouraged to brute force the level, robbing themselves of the opportunity to attempt the stages in a better order. Similarly, Mega Man's fragility is what makes resources like health pickups, E-tanks, and extra lives feel valuable, and it's with these resources that you can tip the scales further in your favor. Fragility, therefore, is a vital element of Mega Man's overarching design that impacts and defines its challenge. Without it, the game lacks tension and loses part of its freedom of approach, but make Mega Man or the stage progression too fragile and the game feels unfair and cruel. It's in balancing these extremes that gives Mega Man its unique form of challenge and gives it so much appeal. There is, however, one more important design element to Mega Man, one that opposes fragility and is arguably just as, if not more important. Mega Man is about power. One benefit of Mega Man's balance of fragility is that it introduces an organic and well-earned feeling of power through the player's ability to eventually overcome the game's obstacles. By giving challenges that have a sense of weight, victory is impactful, and so to succeed in Mega Man is to feel powerful. This is pretty standard as far as challenging games go. Overcoming something difficult naturally feels rewarding, but where Mega Man differentiates itself is in how it presents its world to the player. Consider Mega Man as a character, how he's portrayed through his movement and expressions. The way he runs so determined, how he leaps into the air, how his expression remains blank and sort of stoic. Recall his arm cannon, the Mega Buster, which rapidly fires these small, destructive pellets. Note how the sound design gives the weapon's impact so much crunchiness. Mega Man is cool. He's portrayed as this strong, capable warrior who courageously takes on any challenge, and his power can be felt through the gameplay, visuals, and sounds. But beyond this, the world of Mega Man itself is designed to feel impactful. You're surrounded by explosions, flashy effects, destructive weapons, and these strong, intimidating bosses. It almost makes you feel like you're the protagonist of an action sci-fi movie, and one of the most important elements of this particular picture is the score. Mega Man's music is undeniably one of the greatest components of the series, and it contributes massively to its atmosphere and tone. On their own, the tracks are catchy and sound great, but in the context of the game, they perfectly emphasize the action. The rock and metal inspired soundtrack is an excellent match to the gameplay, and it really drives in that feeling of power. This is the backing track for destroying robots and rocking through dangerous stages. For the early games in the series, the NES's more primitive sound chip with its sharp, square sound channels is a perfect match. It's an iconic and instantly recognizable sound that attacks your ears in the best way possible. And because music is an almost constant presence in Mega Man, this punchy and aggressive sound underlines everything you do. It makes Mega Man feel powerful. So while fragility represents the difficulty of Mega Man, the game's desire to make you feel powerful is where the style and flair are introduced. It makes the games feel rewarding to play. And so it's this combination of fragility and power, underlined with a freedom of approach, that defines Mega Man. It's from these things that the game derives its challenge, coolness, replayability, and style. But now, to zoom our focus into Mega Man 2 specifically, how is it that one stage ruins the entire experience? Well, we understand what makes Mega Man good, but what if we took those elements and completely ignored them? It's here that Mega Man 2 introduces an interesting case study, a stage that not only ignores all of Mega Man's defining design principles, but one that, in my opinion, brings the entire game to a halt. This is Wily's Stage 4. Wily's Stage 4 is split into these 4 segments. The intro portion, which features some mats and false floors as you climb up ladders. The middle portion, which features these moving platform challenges similar to the ones which appear in Crash Man's stage. The pre-boss portion, which is a short hallway featuring Sniper Armors and Sniper Joes. And finally, the boss fight, which is against Boo Beam Trap, a set of 5 small domes mounted on the walls which fire projectiles directly towards you. Most of the problems of this stage revolve around this boss, but one of the stage's more prominent issues arises well before. This hallway connecting the first and second segment of the level is the stage's only checkpoint, meaning that if you die during the boss, instead of being placed directly in front of the boss room, you're taken all the way back here. The stage isn't really that long, all things considered, but the second section involves a lot of waiting for these platforms to move around. On top of that, the first section, which is the only one that you get to skip with this checkpoint, is the easiest section in the entire stage. This checkpoint feels almost useless, and because of the way this boss is designed, it practically is. To defeat Boo Beam Trap, you're required to break its 5 domes scattered around the boss room, and the only weapon that can break these domes is Crash Bomb. At first, this might seem unfair if you compare this boss to the Robot Masters, but it's important to remember that the Wily stages take place after all of the Robot Master stages have been beaten, meaning that you will always have the Crash Bomb by the time you make it to this boss. But the real issue of this boss's requirements is the limited ammo. You can only use Crash Bomb 7 times before it's depleted, and with no way to replenish your ammo within the boss room, your only option if you run out is to die. So now you have to make your way back to the boss, but you also have to grind weapon ammo so you can replenish your weapon energy, which is made especially inconvenient by this level's selection of enemies. Alternatively, because getting a game over restores your weapon ammo, you can intentionally game over, start back at the beginning of the stage, and get a full refill of Crash Bomb instantly. Both of these methods, while viable, expose the primary issue with this stage: its fragility. One important Mega Man series standard is the checkpoint system, but the way this is implemented is largely inconsistent in earlier titles. Generally, every Robot Master stage features a checkpoint right before the boss room, represented by this short, single-screen hallway. This allows you to give the boss of each stage multiple attempts before you game over. It provides a sense of stability, albeit a temporary one. But none of the Wily stages in Mega Man 2 use this system. Instead, they all have a single midpoint as its checkpoint, which can result in an unstable progression system which sees you frequently replaying certain sections. In particular, Wily Stage 4's restrictive boss fight means that it's very easy to lose the boss, and with it, a large portion of progress. The level is made arbitrarily longer by having its only checkpoint too early in the stage, and made even longer still if you choose to grind Crash Bomb weapon ammo between boss attempts. If you instead choose to game over after every failed boss attempt, game overs become much more frequent, and you're forced to replay even more of the stage. There are options in approaching the level here, as is the case with the Robot Master stages, but here it's in a much different, more tedious way. Your progress in the level is just too fragile. Another issue I have with Boo Beam Trap is its deceptiveness and resulting clunkiness. Alongside the domes, the boss room features these destructible walls, the same walls featured in various stages that require Crash Bomb to be broken. It's logical to try and break these walls when you first reach the boss to open up the arena and give yourself easier access to the domes, but doing this all but guarantees that you run out of Crash Bomb ammo entirely. With 5 domes to destroy, you're left with only 2 spare Crash Bombs to use during the fight, and there happen to be exactly 2 walls which must be destroyed in order to access their respective domes. This makes the boss designed almost like a puzzle, where you have to figure out both where to use your Crash Bombs and how to navigate around the arena. And while this conceptually sounds interesting, the aforementioned fragility of progress in this stage makes even attempting to solve this puzzle incredibly frustrating. There are technically a few tricks you can use to get around some of the restrictions of the boss. One is that destroyable walls stay destroyed until you get a game over, which means if you die to the boss once and make it back, you can start with a more open arena. But this of course requires replenishing the Crash Bomb ammo that you'll inevitably spend in the process. Another trick is that the second to leftmost dome and the first wall that you need to destroy can be both hit by 1 Crash Bomb if you place it precisely, which once again lets you save some ammo and potentially open up the arena. While in any other context, all of these varying ways to approach the fight would be unique and interesting, the fact is that in the context of this boss, in this stage, in this game, it simply isn't fun to fight. Navigating through this arena, even when you know the solution to the fight, is clunky. The restricted space makes it difficult to use the required items effectively. Not to mention that during all of this, the boss is attacking you. The domes fire at you simultaneously, meaning projectiles are repeatedly coming at you from all directions, which in certain spots can feel impossible to avoid. Fundamentally, beyond all of the frustrating challenge, the fragile progression, and the deceptive boss design, the most prevalent issue of Wily Stage 4 is how it fails to make the player feel powerful. Earlier, I talked about how the more seemingly superficial elements of Mega Man, like sound design, visual design, and music, contribute to making the player feel powerful. But there's a final factor that I believe is just as prevalent as these. As I mentioned while discussing the series' freedom of approach, each individual game, I think, has 3 distinct phases: the initial playthrough, the knowledgeable playthrough, and the mastered playthrough. While you technically don't need anything more than the initial playthrough to experience a Mega Man game, playing each game multiple times to apply your prior knowledge and to eventually pursue mastery gives each game in the series an entire second life, one which is far more satisfying than the first. Your initial playthrough will likely feel clumsy and disorganized, fighting the robot masters in an unconventional order and likely dying many times to various obstacles and hazards. Additional playthroughs have the benefit of this prior knowledge and allow you to fight the robot masters in the proper order and let you generally be much more proficient and skilled. And to go even further beyond is to challenge yourself in even greater ways, restricting your weapon usage or trying to beat the whole game without a single game over. It's this pursuit and accomplishment of mastery that offers such a great feeling of power. Playing the game in such an efficient and skilled way provides an effective contrast to your earlier playthroughs and sees you demolishing a game that people claim is insanely difficult. Here is where Wily Stage 4 ultimately fails. Maybe the stage is difficult, maybe it's unfair, maybe it's a bit tedious, but these pitfalls can be learned and overcome. You can use your weapon ammo to its maximum efficiency, and you can avoid replaying large sections of the level. But the simple fact is that it isn't fun to fight this boss. Ever. It's too clunky to navigate this arena, to avoid these projectiles, to make these awkward jumps. You can overcome this boss, you can learn from your prior experience and beat it again, you can even master this fight, but it will never make you feel powerful. It's just too poorly executed. And while this might sound hyperbolic, I can never play Mega Man 2 without this stage ruining my mood. Even when I beat the stage efficiently, it doesn't feel efficient. This stage makes the notion of mastering Mega Man 2 in a satisfying way feel impossible, and so it's through its tedium and frustration that I believe it ruins the game. Because even in the game's other issues, its weapon balance, certain boss fights, some stage layouts, this single stage manages to ignore every one of the game's design principles all at once. And it's honestly the one thing stopping me from calling it one of the greatest games in the series. It's such a prevalent and standout issue to me that I'd hesitate to recommend it as anyone's first experience with Mega Man. Wily Stage 4 therefore is more than just poorly designed, it's a blemish on Mega Man 2 as a whole. Mega Man is a series that's very near and dear to my heart, and so I view Mega Man 2 with a lot of respect and adoration. Regardless of your opinion on the game, its significance and influence is undeniable, and it managed to be successful and beloved enough to turn Mega Man into a series. Yet as much as I want to say I love the game wholeheartedly, Wily Stage 4 makes that impossible. It's this utterly obnoxious and unnecessarily tedious mess of conflicting ideas that spits in the face of everything that makes Mega Man fun and satisfying. Your progression in the stage is too fragile in such a way that learning and understanding the boss is frustrating. But even in victory, the boss fails to make the player feel powerful. It takes Mega Man's rigid, impactful movement system and weaponizes it. It requires this higher level of patience brought on by the stage's poor design, and it asks perfection from you to not waste any ammunition throughout the entire fight, and yet the stage itself could not be any more imperfect. There's a certain disappointment to how one stage manages to change my opinion on an entire game. Wily Stage 4 is a tragedy, not a travesty. It's this blemish on the legacy of one of the most widely recognized games ever created. Just think, with only the slightest alteration or outright removal of this stage, Mega Man 2 would be so much better because of it, so much closer to perfection. But maybe there's a form of beauty to all of this. Mega Man might be a series about this balance of fragility and power, but Mega Man 2 takes this to another level. It shows us how fragile a game is, how easy it is for it to fail to make us feel satisfied, how it can undo any good graces with a single mistake. Yet simultaneously, Mega Man 2 ultimately succeeded. The developers powered through and made a legendary game even under such difficult circumstances. The entire game was made in a period of 3 months of completely unpaid, passion-fueled labor by a small team who wanted to take the loose foundation of Mega Man 1 and turn it into something even greater. And they did it. So maybe it's okay that a single stage ruins Mega Man 2. So what if it does? There are so many games that take influence and inspiration from this game, that build off of its greatness and improve on its mistakes. So even if Mega Man 2 isn't the greatest Mega Man game, we can at least all take solace knowing that Mega Man 3 was always better, and that no other game really managed to live up to 3. I mean, 3 is really the one that put Mega Man on the map. This entire video is really about how good Mega Man 3